Welcome class. In today's discussion, we are going to focus on what are the various strategic issues which are part of a global supply chain or global logistics movement. To manage the flow of inventory and information across the global supply chain is more complex than the managing logistics operations within a country. Why this issue? Why it is comparatively crucial? Because of the varied customer needs, an economic and regulatory environment prevailing in different countries, and of course the logistical infrastructure. These are the three main dominant factors need to be identified during the planning stage itself, specifically the planning capability planning, which we discussed earlier. In that stage itself, if we could identify then the three bases of customer needs, satisfying the customer to the highest possible way and by kind of obliging the economic and regulatory environment present in different countries and increasing the logistical infrastructure. These could be the possible solutions which will sort out and solve various global logistical issues. Let me just present you internal issues first. Under internal issues, obviously the first point could be logistics planning. For companies with global operations, the logistics network planning is a crucial for gaining the competitiveness. The formulation of logistics network strategy will also depend on the factors like the unit of the product, the market, and the competition. Say, for example, if an organization decides on developing a new market, which is relocating the facilities, the sourcing of raw materials become an important as far as the delivery time frame, let the total logistics cost and the reliability, all the factors needs to be considered. If identifying new market is one of your strategic issue, which has to be focused on various logistic planning. So the formulation of a logistic strategy should take into consideration location of the product production facility, sourcing of raw material and the relevant components, and we also look into the product and the market characteristics. So in the context of the points what I'm discussing are common for the domestic market. If we want to look into beyond, if you want to introduce a new product to the international market, what additional logistics planning which has to be think of, right? Might be the first point related with this. The firm may concentrate on manufacturing and sourcing at a few locations despite selling their product across the global market. So their market reachability may be global. And the resourcing could also be global, but at the same time, reachability, the cost of making the product available on time, I mean the resources, I mean the raw materials on time, all needs to be planned perfectly. If you take the example of very big companies like BMW, Thomson, or any other foreign brands, the companies have a major focus on outbound logistics for their distribution of their finished product in the global market, which means they concentrate on the sourcing, minimum sourcing, and varied global reach product markets. Okay. The other category, this is category 1, or this is one type of strategic solution they have to look in for. The second one, manufacturing at one place and selling the products in the global market. They are producing a high value products like aircrafts, defense products and all. They source their products, raw materials from all over the world, and the major focus of the company on inbound logistics. So when you look at the sourcing at global level, the company is focusing mostly on the inbound logistics. When you're sourcing at very specific places within a domestic places, and when you are mostly focusing on reaching out your product in the global market, then the companies are focusing on outbound logistics. I hope this is clear. Apart from this, you have third category of companies manufacturing mass consumed low value products. Say almost all our food items like soft drinks and McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Pepsi or other companies supplying the finished product to the market from their own nearby local manufacturing plants. Maybe the products are sold within the area of 200 kilometers from the plant. And beyond, if they go with this distance of 200 kilometers, the logistics cost which makes their finished product, it is not a competitive one. And the fourth category is sourcing and distribution from and to many locations. The companies focus on both inbound and outbound logistics. The Japanese cars and consumer electronic goods. The companies such as Honda, Toyota, Sony, they're all focusing both on inbound and outbound logistics. So now our logistics planning could be either, the strategic planning could be either focusing on inbound, focusing on outbound, or you have to choose a local manufacturing facility and your product should be available within the reach of 200 kilometers itself, or the last strategy could be focusing on both inbound and the outbound strategies. So this is our strategic point of view related with the logistic planning. The second internal issue, what I'm considering now, is inventory. Whenever we talk about inventory, we have two sets of decisions before you: make to order or make to stock. A major shift in the inventory planning is make to order, to deliver the product directly to the customer. That way you can reduce your inventory level. So this will help to consolidate the global production in a single or a few focused factories to cater to the needs of the various markets. The variations in the need of the local individual customers or local markets are fulfilled through a strategy based on rationalization of product design. So local needs are taken care of, modular approach, the product design. Product can be configured to the final shape at the distribution center itself, catering to the need of the local market. This is a pull system where the execution is after the customer places an order. You cannot predict the order before itself. You can forecast and you can, once you receive the order, you can plan for designing the product based on the requirements of the customer demands. The internal system is flexible enough to gear up for the execution of the order for the product volume. Now we move on to the third internal issues, product variable. The unit value of the product decides the reach of the logistical system. So in the globalized marketing environment, firms with the low unit value products invariably resort to the local manufacturing system for extending an excellent customer service. Say for example, for products like soft drinks, the distribution is what I have said earlier. the distribution system is restricted within 200 kilometers of the bottling plant. So the cost of serving the customer becomes uneconomical beyond a certain distance, and for such products, the configuration of plants depends very much on the logistical reach of the product. This is for a low value products. If you look into a high value products, the logistical reach is wider and the transportation cost is a percentage of the total cost of the product. So it may cost nearly 5 to 10 percentage of the transportation cost is added as an additional cost. So either it could go by that way, or what else can be done instead of reducing the transportation cost. What the other solution we have a centralized manufacturing distribution center can be thought of for better inventory control. So we left with two choices, either depend more on transport or depend on the warehouse system. The next internal issue could be flexibility. Invariably, the global players focus on the strategy of economy of scale for cost advantage, because when you reach the market of a global market, customer prefer to buy a product because of might be the cost is one of the reason. So but this strategy is an element of inflexibility in responding to a dynamic market and demanding customers. So the logistics system associated with flexibility, it has to be more flexible so that it can easily respond to whatever the changes specified by the customer. Say the emphasis on freight consolidation with few dispatches schedule, which has shifted to frequent and small consignment to reduce the inventory related costs. So depending on the requirement of the customer, in case of packaging, in case of sending the decision of which transport mode, cargo, consignments, all these related decisions, the logistics man has to decide, has to keep a system of flexibility. So what are the various internal issues we started discussing today? We started with logistical planning, inventory, product variables, and the flexibility. These are the four major internal issues which needs to be considered as strategic issues in the context of global logistics. Now let me present the external issues. Yes, the first issue could be the short lead time. In a global market, the emphasis is on responsiveness with lean supply chain. In such circumstances, because the way how quickly you respond to the market, which will give an added advantage to your competitive edge compared to your competitors. So the customers bank on the shortest lead time for inputs going into the product manufacturer to compress the performance cycle. What else we have to do? We need to extend the superior customer service, and we need to reduce overall inventory level also. So put everything together. Flexible manufacturing system which will help the supplier to keep some kind of buffer stock to maintain the desired level of customer service, sacrificing the benefits of the lean inventory. So the manufacturer has to take certain common strategic issues, either to keep buffer stock or safety stock in the inventory, which will help them to settle down the most quickly shortest route possible for reaching the product to the customer destination. The next one, the transit time extensions and the delays. As we discussed in our earlier classes, the freight cost is directly proportional to the speed of the transportation mode. That's why most of the companies are preferring air transportation. Maybe obviously it is costlier than the sea transportation, but the inventory carrying cost over the longer period of the sea journey will offset more than the benefit due to the low freight charges. Moreover, this will pose constraints to the basic logistic principle of postponement. And if we take a longer period with lesser freight costs, what other problems may also be possible? Documentation, customer clearance, which will also add to the cost of in-transit inventory. So this choice of or mode of transport, which will also be one of the external issues. So to conclude, related to the strategic issues in the global logistics, we focused on two different issues. One is the internal issue, the other one is external issue. Internal issues where we focus on the various issues related with logistical planning, inventory, the product variables, as well as the flexibility. The external issues we started discussing on the short lead time, the transit time extensions, and the delays. So to conclude, the movement of cargo between countries is much more complicated as compared to transportation within the country. The major considerations in cross-border cargo movements are selection of the transportation mode, insurance, the packaging, and the documentation as per the law of the country where the real import-export transport is happening. The two most widely used transportation modes which we had a discussion in international scenario is air mode and the sea mode. And when we choose the sea mode, that's normally the sea mode was chosen for bulk cargo with comparatively low unit price, while the air route is preferred for high value cargo. And the major considerations for choosing the mode, by which mode is the right mode, on what basis we normally go in for choosing, or the logistics manager has to take care in the context of cost, the speed, the urgency, and the reliability. And the next part of discussion what we had today is to cover the risk of the cargo, because from the breakage or loss or damage, the goods are need to be insured under open or any special insurance coverage. And we also discussed about the various types of insurance available, who's really be the beneficiary, whether the entire transportation agencies, carriers, or all are a part of person who is going to be the real beneficiary. So also we had a discussion today. And due to the varying conditions of the storage, the transportation, and the material handling during the journey of the goods, the packaging needs a special design consideration as far as the cost and the robustness is concerned. So this is another important concept. We discuss packaging under the context, under the heading packaging. Then in the export or import of goods, the role of the intermediaries. What are the two intermediaries we discussed today? The freight forwarding agent and the custom house or warehouse broker. It's very crucial, and what's the role they are supposed to play. So also we had our discussion. And they facilitate the smooth movement of goods, taking care of the documentations from the beginning of exporter side till the product how it reaches at the destination point from the importer side. And the documentation is the most important part of the cross-border trade. So the important documents generally we discuss about the export license, the commercial invoice, the bill of lading, the airway bill, the certificate of origin. These are all commonly accepted documentation. Just we have to use it at the time of import-export trade. So to conclude, in today's class, we started our discussion with the global logistics. What are the operational factors in the context of transportation, in the context of our inventory, in the context of packaging, in the context of documentation and the intermediaries. I hope this discussion has given you a clear picture on the role of a logistics manager when he undertakes any global logistics operation. Thank you for your patient listening. Thank you.